The morning sun rose steadily over the horizon, its golden rays cutting through the mist that clung stubbornly to the treetops. The camp stirred to life, the faint murmurs of waking voices blending into the soft crackle of a rekindled fire. Arthur Morgan stepped out of his tent, the crisp air stinging his lungs as he tightened his jacket against the chill. The distant trill of birdsong added an almost serene backdrop to the moment, but tension simmered beneath the surface.
Another day in paradise.
Arthur made his way toward the fire, where Charles sat cross-legged, methodically sharpening his knife. Each scrape of metal against stone was deliberate, a sound that mirrored the tension in the camp. Pearson's grumbling as he rummaged through supplies added a discordant note to the otherwise quiet morning.
Sleep well, Arthur?
About as well as you'd expect, with wolves howling and dreams that won't let up.
Keeps you sharp, doesn't it?
Arthur let out a short, dry chuckle, though his gaze was distant. He watched the camp slowly come alive, boots crunching against dirt and the occasional bark of laughter as routines resumed. Dutch stood by his tent, his arms crossed, a faint smile on his face as he surveyed the gang with a mixture of pride and determination.
Morning, everyone. Let's make the most of this fine day. We got a lot to figure out.
Arthur nodded toward Dutch but stayed by the fire, his thoughts elsewhere. Hosea approached, holding out a steaming cup of coffee, his sharp eyes scanning Arthur's face as if reading the thoughts swirling beneath his composed exterior.
Thought you might need this.
You're a saint, Hosea. Don't know how you always manage it.
The two men stood in silence, sipping their coffee as the camp slowly stirred to life. Karen's laughter rang out sharply as Sean spun some exaggerated tale to anyone who would listen. Sadie's voice cut through the clamor as she barked at Uncle, whose usual laziness earned her sharp rebukes. Arthur's eyes drifted toward the tree line, where the last wisps of mist clung to the shadows.
You've got that look again.
What look?
Like you're carrying the weight of the whole damn world. Always dangerous for a man like you.
Maybe. Just wondering what the day'll bring.
Hosea chuckled softly, giving Arthur a reassuring clap on the shoulder before moving off to help Pearson with breakfast. Arthur lingered, his gaze wandering over the camp. Tilly and Mary Beth chatted over their plates, their easy laughter a rare comfort. Lenny and Javier argued good-naturedly over their plans for the day, their banter mingling with the sound of saddles being fastened and supplies packed. Dutch approached with deliberate steps, his commanding presence cutting through the bustle of the morning. He stopped by Arthur, his expression measured but firm.
Arthur, Hosea, we've got some decisions to make today. The law's still hot on our trail, and we can't stay here forever. What are you thinking, Dutch? Always looking to me for the answers, huh? Well, we've got options. Hosea and I were talking last night about heading east. Might buy us some time.
Or we could go further south, blend into the bayou. A lot of folks down there who don't take kindly to lawmen.
Arthur rubbed his chin thoughtfully, the weight of their precarious situation pressing down on him. Every choice seemed fraught with risk, each misstep another nail in their collective coffin.
Whatever we do, we'd better do it soon. Law ain't gonna let up.
Dutch nodded, his expression serious but resolute. He placed a firm hand on Arthur's shoulder, the gesture meant to inspire confidence.
We'll figure it out, Arthur, like we always do.
As Dutch moved away, Arthur's gaze followed him before drifting back to the forest. The air seemed heavier now, charged with the unspoken tension of looming decisions. Arthur drained the last of his coffee and set the cup down, the mundane act grounding him as he prepared to face the challenges of the day. By mid-morning, the camp was alive with activity. Supplies were being packed into saddlebags, and the sharp sound of hammers rang out as gear was repaired. Arthur worked alongside Charles to mend a damaged stirrup, their movements efficient but weighed with an unspoken understanding of the stakes.
Ever think about leaving, Arthur? Going off on your own?
Sometimes, but it ain't that simple. This gang, it's all I've ever known.
Maybe that's the problem.
Arthur didn't respond immediately, his hands steady as he focused on the task before him. Charles's words lingered, an unwelcome echo of thoughts Arthur had long tried to bury. As the sun climbed higher, the camp reached a fevered pitch of activity. Pearson barked orders about food supplies, while Sadie and Sean clashed over the best route to avoid the law. Dutch remained at the center of it all, his calm authority anchoring the swirling chaos. Arthur stepped away from the commotion, seeking a moment of quiet against the noise of the camp. He leaned against a tree, his gaze drawn to the horizon where the world seemed to stretch endlessly, full of both promise and peril. The weight of the choices ahead pressed against him, as heavy as the rifle slung across his back. The day stretched on, each moment carrying them closer to an uncertain fate.